Buy it, build it, call Jackie, 262-628-9091. Build bold with Miracle, a Christian-based company.
Time for a WTMJ Sports Update. It is Bucks basketball at Fiserv Forum. The Bucks aiming at snapping a 3-game losing streak. They welcome the Charlotte Hornets into Milwaukee. Coverage of tonight's game starts with Bucks shoot-around following the news. Tip-off at Fiserv set for 7 o'clock. Final preparations underway for both the Kansas City Chiefs and San Francisco 49ers. Now just 48 hours out of coverage for Super Bowl 58. The Niners right now the betting favorite, according to ESPN. Kickoff for the big game Sunday at 5:30. Taking a look at your roads, Johnson & Sons Paving, time saver traffic. Just your normal slowdowns for a Friday evening. Looks a bit slow going both directions on I-94 between downtown and the zoo. Expect to add a few minutes to your drive in either direction. 4145 southbound between Highway Q and the zoo. That is going to be a 14-minute ride. Northbound 43 downtown, or southbound I should say, from downtown to about Layton Avenue. That'll be 9 minutes. On the northbound side from downtown to Brown Deer Road, that'll take you 16. Looking southbound further from Layton on to Ryan Road, that'll take you about 13 minutes.
Traffic is sponsored by Hall Mazda Milwaukee. Visit hallmazdamilwaukee.com.
While you're navigating the roads as quickly and safely as possible, if you see something we should know about, call the WTMJ Hall Mazda Traffic Tip Line at 414-238-9329.
Your WTMJ 5-day forecast, partly cloudy skies overnight tonight, low about 31 degrees. Tomorrow, mostly sunny, a high of 40. Sunday, partly cloudy skies, 40 degrees. Monday, partly cloudy and mild, a high 44. Tuesday, partly cloudy, a high of 36 degrees. Right now in downtown Milwaukee, it's 46 degrees. I'm Mike Spalding, Sighting Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 6:07.
It's time for Buck Shoot Around on WTMJ. We get you warmed up, stretched out, and ready for tip-off. This is Buck Shoot Around. Now, here's your host, Greg Matzik.
All right, here we go. Bucks and Hornets tonight. It is game 2, night 2 of a back-to-back here for the Bucks. They were throttled last night. Forget about that. Pat Beverly is in town. He will come off the bench tonight and make his Bucks debut. He was acquired via trade prior to the trade deadline yesterday. Apparently, he passed his physical. Perhaps equally as important, Campaign passed his physical with the 76ers, and we are locked and loaded, ready to go as the Bucks take on an upstart Hornets team looking for the first win in Milwaukee for Bucks head coach Doc Rivers. So it's been a challenging part of the schedule here as the Bucks with Rivers embarked on that long 5-game Western Conference road trip. Things did not go terribly well. Bucks able to get a win out of that whole deal. Now they return home for 4 games, and then there will be a 5th on the road leading into the All-Star break. So here we go. You're kind of at that point now where the trade deadline is passed. The buyout market will get sorted out here before too long. And then you start to look ahead to some of the bigger things that are happening with regard to seeding and positioning for the postseason. Things along that line becomes a really important stretch of basketball. Things definitely ramp up here for the Milwaukee Bucks. And really every team that is in it and contending. But the new thing is Patrick Beverly, acquired yesterday via trade. So Campaign is gone. Now, if you watched the Bucks play last night, you recognize they did not have Campaign, who was traded. They did not have Damian Lillard, who was out with an ankle injury. He'll play tonight, though we're not sure how many minutes. He is in the starting lineup. And they also did not have Patrick Beverly, who was a guard. So, in essence, the Bucks played last night without a point guard. So the result was, somewhat predictable. They were throttled. They were beat up by a pretty good team, but hey, nonetheless, a loss is a loss, and they're looking to get on the right side of things here with Doc Rivers, who has coached Patrick Beverly before. So if there's anybody in the Bucks organization familiar with how Patrick Beverly works, it's Doc Rivers. He was asked about that following last night's game.
Before the game, the Beverly trade was not official. It is now official.
Pat Beverly's coming, huh?
Yeah, I know. It's a big surprise, big shock. Yeah, I guess just for you, obviously you know Pat. Yeah. What do you feel like he can bring to this team?
He is a very, very high IQ player, especially defensively. And even offensively with his movement and stuff and setting picks. He's also an instigator. He's a big talker defensively, not meaning trash talk, meaning he talks on defense. And I think those are some of the things that we need, He has, at times he has great defensive nights. At times he overdoes it. And those are the nights where him and I know we have to have a talk. I've coached him before. But he's a good spirit for your team. And one of the most competitive players I've ever coached. And people like that, it's contagious. And I think that's good for our team.
Just what do you feel like his toughness and grit kind of brings? It feels like that's a big part of
yeah,
what
it
he's
does. It brings another guy. I mean, we have size, Bobby, but it just brings another gritty guy, and we're going to need that.
Grit, yes, that is something missing here from the Milwaukee Bucks, especially at the guard position, right? You lose Drew Holiday, and the defense, it's expected it'll take a little bit of a slide or a step back, and it has. But you've also seen a bit of an uptick in offense here, and that's with Damian Lillard, Giannis, and Chris Middleton having limited time together on the court, and it's going to be a minute before we get Middleton back with that sprained foot and ankle, likely after the All-Star break. Lillard back tonight, but also dealing with an ankle injury. Night 2 of a back-to-back. Not sure that Middleton would play anyway if he were healthy. And the Bucks have another back-to-back Monday and Tuesday of next week. So it's a challenging part of the schedule leading up to the All-Star break in more ways than one. And coming off that Western Conference trip, which was a slog, the Bucks are looking to find their way under Rivers.
You had mentioned it, I think, right when you started about just, the level of teams, the schedule. You kind of just mentioned the flights and stuff. Is this about what you expected? You sort of expect this sort of
I would hope for a couple more wins. But, I mean, obviously we didn't know we were going to have the injuries along with that. And there's not much you can do about that, And, again, as I said before the game, obviously you want to win games, and obviously you would love to be healthy so you can win games. But something good will come out of all this stuff. We talk about it all the time. Sometimes you got to go through stuff to get stuff, and we're going through it right now.
Yeah, a little bit. So we've seen the defense pick up a little bit. Last night was not a great example. The Bucks outscored by the Timberwolves 129-105. But prior to that, you gave up 114s against Phoenix on the road. Very shorthanded team the Bucks were that night. You gave up 123 to Utah, but they exploded for 40 points in one quarter to really blow that game out. But you've been giving up more in the 1-teens than the 120s since Doc Rivers took over. Unfortunately, the offense has sort of come back to earth. So instead of scoring 122 or 125, now you're 108, 106, 105 in your last 3 contests. So you're trying to find some consistency here on offense as you work to reshape the defense. That was the struggle for this Milwaukee Bucks team in the early portion of the season. So Milwaukee overall 33-19, taking on the Hornets tonight. Some more sound from Eric Name of The Athletic from yesterday's conversation. We were going to play it for you last night, but then we got into severe weather coverage, so there was no Bucks shoot-around last night. But some interesting comments from Eric Name on the acquisition of Patrick Beverley and what it means. We'll have that for you after this, along with more notes and nuggets here heading into tonight's game against the Hornets. More Bucks shoot-around after this on WTMJ.
Be sure to load up on Vienna Beef hot dogs for this weekend's big football game. The official hot dog of the Milwaukee Brewers is Vienna Beef. Manufactured and produced since 1893. Available at select grocers and hot dog stands near you.
The next time they ask you what size tires you need, just go to richlawns.com.
That's Richlawns spelled with 2 N's.
No more trying to read that tiny writing on the side of your old tires or on the inside of your car door.
Just go to richlawns.com, click on the year button, then the make and model of your vehicle, and
the exact tire size you need.
In a multitude of brands and styles.
Yet all specific to your vehicle, because at Richlawns, there isn't a tire on the planet we can't get.
And every tire we install automatically comes with free flat tire repair, which means you're 100% covered, no questions asked.
The next time you're due for tire service, visit richlawns.com.
Because free flat tire repair automatically comes with every tire we install.
I'm Brett Matchke with Richlawns. You're due for service.
Since 1964, we've changed your tires and so much more. Richlawns Tire and Service, such a refreshing change. Richlawns.
Is your IRS tax debt making you feel anxious? The professionals at Allies Tax Relief are ready to negotiate your fresh start. Call them now at 800-230-5174.
This February, elevate your driving experience with Griffin's Service Department, where precision meets passion. Hello, valued customers. This is Jim Griffin, and I'm thrilled to share with you an exceptional opportunity this month. Love is not only in the air, but it's also in our exclusive Valentine's Special. For just $179.95, our Valentine's Special includes oil change, tire rotation, air filter, and wiper blade replacement. But that's not all. Your car will undergo meticulous multi-point inspection, ensuring every aspect of your car is in optimal condition. Plus, we'll check the battery and heating system, guaranteeing your vehicle is prepared for the road ahead. This incredible offer is available at all 5 Griffin Service Departments. Whether you're on the north, south, or west side of town, Griffin Service Departments are ready to cater to your needs. Visit Griffin today for detailed information and restrictions. Griffin Service Department, setting the standard in automotive excellence, because your car deserves nothing but the best. Discover true automotive love at Griffin, your trusted partner on the road.
Now, more of Buck Shoot Around on WTMJ.
Bucks and Hornets tonight from Fiserv Forum. Looking for win number 1 in Milwaukee for Doc Rivers, 1-5 overall after 6 games. Has over 1,000 wins to his credit. I'm sure he'll get one in Milwaukee here before too long, hopefully tonight. Though the Bucks will be playing without Chris Middleton. He remains sidelined. Damian Lillard expected to play, as is Pat Beverly. Talked to Eric Name on the afternoon show yesterday, Bucks beat writer for The Athletic, and asked him first off about the trade for Beverly. What does it mean? Wasn't a major deal, but does it make the Bucks better, and how?
I would say it's somewhere in between there. Obviously, I think going into the deadline, you're always thinking about bigger deals with, more important players. But the Bucks just didn't really have the assets for something like that. They were really focused on not touching the top 4 players on the team. So, not trading Giannis or Chris or Dame or Brooke. So they had to try to figure out how to try to get a really impactful player with trading some of the rest of the roster. And the only 2 guys that make enough money to kind of get you in the conversation for, much more impactful players were Bobby Portis and Pat Connaughton. And, I think in the end, that plus the fact that they only had 2 picks to trade, they have, what's projected to be the number 35 pick in this year's draft, and then the 2027 second-round pick that they gave up for Patrick Beverly. They just couldn't get themselves into the conversation for any of those players that, make a little bit more money or a little bit more impactful. So it is not the big swing that I think people always want to get excited about during trade deadline season, but I would say at the same time, this is a really logical trade that makes the Bucks better. You look at what they did. Essentially, they had a backup point guard in campaign whose greatest strengths are on the offensive end of the floor, getting traded for a backup point guard in Patrick Beverly, whose greatest strengths are on the defensive end on the floor. And if you're talking about what the Bucks need, it's all about the defensive end. That's just not an option that they have on their roster right now. They don't have, a veteran player that can make an impact on the defensive end at the point of attack against, another team's best scorer or anything like that. So to add that, I think it makes sense to pair him with the other guys that they have right now, and Damian Lillard and Malik Beasley, who are both really strong offensive players. Now you have that kind of, defensive end weight that, evens things out a little bit and can hopefully help the Bucks, throw a more balanced pitch when they're playing different teams.
So here's some interesting audio, Eric. So Pat Beverly found out he was traded to the Bucks during the filming of his podcast today. And at some point, he realized that Malik Beasley is also a member of the Bucks, and they played together in Los Angeles. So he ends up FaceTiming Malik Beasley. Here's what it sounded like.
Oh, Beasley is there. My boy Bees there.
Okay.
Hey, yeah, I'm looking for you, buddy. What's up, buddy?
What's up, brother?
Hey, Doc, go let me do my thing over there.
I know.
Hey, so who else on the team? No. It's Dame, Giannis,
KB,
Brook Lopez, Bobby, you, Jay Crowder.
Yeah.
No, I gotta get my relationship right with Dame. Gotta get my relationship right with Dame, man. Time with a championship, man. Gotta get my relationship.
All right, maybe the funniest audio of the day. Hey, who's on the team? And then he realizes all the guys that are there. But he referenced something at the end, Eric. He has to get his relationship right with Damian Lillard. What is their history?
Yeah, it's two guys that have been in the Western Conference and battled against each other in the playoffs. And, Damian Lillard was on the Blazers team that eliminated Patrick Beverley's team. And then, on top of it, Patrick Beverley, if you're a Bucks fan, you can now follow him online. Maybe you already were, but if you do follow him online, you see that he is not shy, let's say. He's more than willing to share some opinions and, talk about different things. So, in the last couple of years, there's been a couple of times where he's commented about, what Dame was doing or how he was doing it or conducting his business. So, it's been a little bit of a rivalry between the two of them, but, I think now you get them on the same team, you're working towards the same goal. I think everything will probably end up being okay.
Eric, so the Bucks come back 1-4 after a Western Conference trip. It's Doc's first stint as coach, his first 5 games. It's the Western Conference. It's tough. Should we read anything into the fact that they went 1-4? Did you like what you saw? Anything that worried you? What are your key takeaways?
I mean, it's funny. I have a lot of people on Twitter or commenters at The Athletic suggesting that, you're just a cheerleader for the team, because the overwhelming message from players was how much better they felt about everything that was going on, how much more confidence that they had, how much more belief they have in the things that they're doing on both ends of the floor. And I understand that can be difficult to understand when they go 1-4 and things don't go the way that you want. But really all the underlying stuff that goes into trying to win games, there's a lot more confidence about that in the Bucks locker room right now. Like, they're really excited about the way they're playing defensively. Offensively, I think it's been a little bit rougher than people thought. But I think they're feeling good about where they're working in that direction as well. So to me, like, the record, yes, is 1-4. But I think the overwhelming takeaway of that road trip was just the fact that even with the losses, the overwhelming message from that locker room is everyone's feeling a lot better about everything that they're doing.
Yeah, now 1-5 after last night's loss to the Minnesota Timberwolves. Bucks will be in Minneapolis in about a week or so. They'll take on the Minnesota Timberwolves. It'll be February 23rd. So after the All-Star break, February 23rd. That is coming up. So, yeah, tough run here, as you've got tonight's game against the Hornets. You've got the Denver Nuggets coming up here as part of the homestand. You also have the Miami Heat as part of the homestand. Then it's at Memphis before the All-Star break. So we're getting down to it. But again, and I've said this before since Doc Rivers took over, between now and the end of the season, you got to be right. You got to get right at some point before you go into the postseason. And the rest of the regular season is really nothing more than an optimization lab for the postseason. But hopefully you're healthy enough to kind of mix Beverly in, figure out your rotations. Does A.J. Green have a bigger role with this team, perhaps, after 27 points last night and sharp shooting? He can space a floor. So some interesting decisions here for Doc with coming to his rotations and also trying to get everybody healthy. So nothing easy about it, made more complicated with some injury issues. We'll wrap up the program with some final thoughts after this. It's Buck Shoot Around on WTMJ.
Your nose is for breathing. Your mouth is for eating. And if you're breathing through your mouth, it's not because your body wants to. It's because it has to, because your nose isn't working properly. And although you've lived like this, it's no way to live, and it's having a significant impact on your life. I know you know this, and I know that taking action isn't always convenient. But at Advent, we've done all we can to make changing your life for the better as easy as possible. I'm Dr. Madan Kandula. With tens of thousands of our patients, a thorough breathing triangle evaluation, along with a simple 20-minute in-office procedure called balloon sinuplasty, has opened their nasal passages, allowing them to breathe freely through their nose for good. And there's a good chance this procedure can do the same for you. We'll help you breathe through your nose again, and it will change your life.
Go to adventknows.com to schedule your appointment, because Advent knows when you breathe well, you live better.
Better days start with a better night's sleep on a mattress from Milwaukee Mattress and Ken Michaels Furniture. Handcrafted in Milwaukee, our mattresses are custom built to your needs. We have all the comfort and firmness options to give you your best night's rest. Buying direct from our factory showrooms will save you up to 50% compared to national brands. Shop today during our New Year's sale at Ken Michaels Furniture for over 75 years of uncompromising quality, local factory direct saving, and your best night's sleep. Start the new year right with Norwalk Furniture on sale now at Ken Michaels Furniture. Save 35% on showroom pieces that are ready for immediate delivery, or in just 35 days, you can create a look that reflects your unique style with over 850 fabric and leather options and comfort levels, from cuddling to extra firm support. Norwalk Furniture's American roots go back over 102 years. For better quality American-made upholstery, shop the Norwalk Upholstery Sale at any Ken Michaels Furniture locations in Greenfield, Brookfield, or downtown.
You're listening to Bucks Shoot Around on WTMJ.
Oh, got my Underdog Fantasy picks in for tonight's game between the Bucks and Hornets. If you haven't signed up yet, Underdog Fantasy, just download the app or go online, underdogfantasy.com. Use the promo code WTMJ, and Underdog Fantasy will double your first deposit up to $100. And it's a pick'em game, a very simple pick'em game. Pick between 2 and 5 players, select higher or lower on the player's stats, and you can win up to 100 times your money in one night. It's very simple. So I've got one pick here for Brandon Miller. I selected higher than 5.5 points in the first quarter. For Damian Lillard, I selected lower than 12.5 first quarter points, rebounds, and assists. We'll see how that maps out. No firepower with Middleton on the bench. However, Lillard's got the ankle thing kind of dealing with him. Not sure what his minutes are going to look like in that first quarter. We shall see. But if you'd like to play along, just download the Underdog Fantasy app or go online and register. UnderdogFantasy.com. Promo code WTMJ. They'll match your first deposit up to $100. Must be 18 years or older to participate. And they even have a special pick for you if you get signed up, and it'll be a gimme, kind of a freebie pick, so you're off and running. Play some fantasy games with your friends or just go off on your own. Mix and match NBA and college basketball. Add in golf if you'd like. You can kind of carve out your own niche at Underdog Fantasy. Promo code WTMJ. So entering tonight's game, Giannis tied for second in the NBA in scoring, a little over 31 points a game. He's also sixth in rebounding, and for what it's worth, tied for 16 in assists. So Giannis is averaging over 6.5 assists per game at this point of the season. That's an all-time high for Giannis. That's pretty incredible. So because of all this, he remains on pace to become the first player in league history to average 30-plus points per game on 60% shooting in a season. So the volume of three-point shots for Giannis is kind of evened out a little bit. It's certainly not gone up. And why would it? He's barely a 30% three-point shooter historically. But he is just dominating in the paint, where he typically does. That can change, however, come postseason when teams start to play real defense. So I'll be interested to see if Giannis starts to explore maybe a little bit more in the mid-range or step outside prior to the postseason. Just something to pay attention to. Also, A.J. Green coming off a career-high 27 points. Bucks basketball coming up just after this on WTMJ. Justin Garcia and Dave Kane with the call from the arena. Stick around for Bucks talk after the game, hopefully talking about Doc Rivers' first win as head coach of the Bucks in Milwaukee. Bucks basketball